Hey guys, this is James from TeaDB for InBetweenIsode number 23. Welcome. As you can see, it's more than just me today. I have my friend and fellow tea drinker here, Meat. And so, Meat, that's M-E-E-T. What type of teas do you normally drink?
So let me say a little bit about myself. I know you. I know James
I
from.
just did not pick a stranger up off the street. Yeah.
True. So James and I went to college together. We did the same major. We went through EE together and graduated about a year apart.
Yeah. So if you're looking for electrical engineers and want to pay us more than our normal jobs, feel free to put a comment below.
Right.
But yeah. So
we can do some paid consulting.
Yeah. If you want to pay us to drink tea and talk to you, then yeah, totally.
Right.
So
my segue was mainly because most of my tea influences come from you, in fact. And I drink a lot of the Wuyis. I enjoy Wuyis a lot, and Dankong.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two major types of tea. The oolongs in general, the dark oolongs, are what I like a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, I've obviously I come down here and drink pours occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But.
Yeah, and as I'm sure you viewers have realized by now, I've covered a whole lot of pu'ers recently. Meat, he's more of a Wuyi Oolong sort of guy. We're gonna diversify the episodes as we're moving out a little bit. So I thought it'd be a good idea to bring him on. Today we're drinking a tea from Yunnan Sourcing, who I think you get a lot of your teas from. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Originally I asked James to order a little bit of oolong for me, and he got some Wuyis and Dankongs for me, and they were just great. And then just recently, about 6 months ago, I put in a big order with Yunnan, and it takes about 3 months to get here, but I've been drinking a lot of dark oolongs in the last 3 months, and they're delicious, and I'm going through them like anything.
Cool. So you can see we're getting a really vivid red. We can wait for that to cool down for a hot second, and we can drink. And I'm going to quickly do another brew right here. So this particular tea is the Yunnan Sourcing's Tieluohan, which I believe is sold out for this year, but it might be back. I kind of suspect it will be for 2015. It's one of my sort of like go-tos. I bought a large quantity of this as well as the Rogueway. And so this and the Rogueway, which I think you drink pretty regularly.
Oh, absolutely.
Are a couple of my go-tos as far as teas. And I've recently started to branch out a little bit, drink Wuyis from a few other different sources. So I think for next episode we'll have you back and we'll taste something else. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how you think this tea compares to that Rogueway that you drink pretty regularly.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, I'm getting a fair amount of bitterness from the tea right now, and I think some of that might have to do with the fact that there's just a lot of sediment in this tea. It happens to be, I guess, one of the bottom of the bags, so there's a lot more broken leaves and whatnot, so I think that's
Right.
contributing to it.
Right. I would definitely agree. It's definitely a little more bitter than Rogueway. Rogueway, I feel like, tends to be on the softer side.
Mm-hmm.
But this may have been slightly stronger than how well I brew the first time.
That makes sense.
So that there might be that difference. I also find that it's equally soft. as far as Rogue Whey goes, if you compare it to Rogue Whey. I drink a lot of, I also, at home, I drink a lot of the shui that I got from Yunnan, and that's a little bit harsh, it's a little rough.
So you would say that this is still relatively approachable, but it has more of those bitter notes.
Definitely, yeah.
Cool, yeah. And I think one of the more extraordinary parts of this tea, at least compared to the other teas you mentioned, is I think, like, how does it taste in your mouth now? Do you still kind of have, like, an aftertaste? Do you taste it, like, for instance, on, like, the roof of your mouth or anything like that?
Yeah, it still has that slight bitter aftertaste. But when we say bitter, I wanna make sure that it's not bitter in a sort of negative connotation. It's a very soft bitter. It almost feels close to being sweet.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the appeal of Wuyi is kind of like those bitter, roasty notes that become sort of sweeter.
Yeah.
But if I were to critique my brewing, I think I would used a slightly heavy hand for the first one, so I would probably hold back a little bit for the next few steeps. So this one's a little bit lighter, in my opinion. The bitterness is still definitely there. And I think it has a little bit of like kind of dry apricot sweetness to it, is how I would probably describe it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you talk about like having a big stash at home and at work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think this tea would fit in if you were to drink it more regularly? Like, would you drink this at work? Would you drink this at home? What times a day would you have it?
I feel like this tea definitely feels a little stronger. I would definitely like to have this at work. I would prefer not to drink it in the evenings, nights, because I feel like I would have a tough time sleeping. But I want to say definitely a great tea, though. I think I could go through a lot of this in a day.
Yeah.
And the great thing about oolongs and wuyis is that it keeps you at a very good energy level, and that's the reason when I got into it, I really got into it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Compared to like more standard beverages, like you talk about drinking this during work, you could like have a 5-hour energy, drink a Red Bull at work, and just go crazy for a long time, or have, to a lesser extent, it's far more healthy, to have like a coffee, but like tea, it has a very much more calm, mellow energy that comes off of it, and so I appreciate tea for those aspects as well. Do you want to take a quick smell?
Okay. Wow, smells great. Smells a lot softer, a lot lighter than the first time before you brewed it.
Yeah. A few more floral notes on the nose, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I would say this tea, the bitterness is still there, but it has continued to soften out a little bit, just as I've slightly lowered the steep time.
Right.
Cool. How do you think this last steep is? Which of the 3 steeps would you probably enjoy the most?
I think as a first time drinker, the first steep itself, put a very good impression on me. Like that's what would get me into it. I would try to brew it lighter in the beginning, but man, the taste is very, very good even at the 3rd brew, which is something I like. I like to brew my tea more times. The more times, the better. The more,
And that's also just kind of nice because
value out of the tea.
You don't have like a coffee, make a giant cup, and then by the end of it, it's all like room temperature or whatever.
Right.
You can just make tea, wait for it to cool down a bit, drink your small cup, and then when you're ready, make another cup.
Make another.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyways, I think that just about wraps up InBetweenIsode number 23. Thank you guys for watching, and cheers.
Thanks for having me.